not. The problem is.
Yeah. With great power.
Yeah, like that woman says.
Yeah. That's that ties back into this.
And, who's your favorite Marvel Comics hero? Mine is Superman. Remember the motto? With great power comes great responsibility.
I'm convinced that's Sigourney Weaver's sister.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Come on in, everybody. We know you're there. We see you. The chat is open. We're here to talk comic strips today. Hopefully not too much more politics or
No, we're staying away from that now.
the evils of the social platforms. So, we're all, as a Fire Sign Theater would say, we're all bozos on this bus. So
that's true.
Here we go.
That's definitely true.
Frane's in the house. Efren is in the house. Hello, everybody. Hello. Hope you're doing well. My favorito superhero is Iron Man. Yeah.
There are worse choices.
Yep.
Whose famous quote is, "Anybody got a can opener?"
I thought you were going to run the intro then, Randy.
I can run the intro, sure. Let me find it here.
He's only been doing it 15 years. He still doesn't know what his file is.
Can't nobody tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing.
Here we go. Yeah, wife says I have a maniacal laugh. So anyway, one of these days we'll do another underground show, looking at air pirates as it passes by. I have to do a lot of heavy editing before we do that, though.
Probably,
especially black dots all over the place. Yeah. As we would today if we were talking about English comic strips.
Yeah.
Glenn has a set of James Bond strips. I've got a couple of books in my back bookshelf that are literally mangled because I needed them for the Flint Comics paper I was doing.
Yeah,
so,
this was
didn't have all the strips.
Yeah, go on, tell that story, Randy. It's brilliant.
They offered me when I first started Flint Comics and Entertainment. I talked to the rep. My rep was an older guy, and he admitted that he was, he had a hard time wrapping his head around what I wanted to do with Flint Comics. I had to send him a prototype in order for him to go, "Oh, yeah, of course. What do you want?" And so we went through the shopping list, and some stuff was available and some stuff wasn't. And some stuff he just shrugged off and said that we didn't have, the rights to do those. And two of those was the Judge Dredd and the James Bond strips, adventure strips. So about a year after I got started, I got a call from the new rep because the old rep had retired. And she said, "Is there anything I can do for you?" And I said, "Yeah, if you can, I'd love to run the Judge Dredd and the James Bond strips in the paper." And there was this silence for about 15, 20 seconds. And she goes, "I don't even know if we have North American rights for those. Let me check and see, and I'll get right back with you." That's great. Fantastic. So she called me back up the next day and says, "Hey, we've got North American rights for Judge Dredd and James Bond. You want to run them?" And I said, "Heck yes, I want to run them." So issue 15 of Flint Comics and Entertainment, and it would take me a few minutes to call it up because I love that cover because I drew it. Has got, not just because I drew it, but it turned out really good. I mean, that sounded too egotistical.
No,
But,
No, that's fine. I love lots of my stuff that I draw.
The truth is the truth.
Go ahead. It's got Judge Dredd and James Bond with their arms crossed back to back to each other with the skyline of Flint underneath them. This is introducing, Judge Dredd, James Bond. And out of the two strips, the only complaints I got, and Judge Dredd, it's an amazing fascist strip. I mean, it's very political, it's very pointed, but it's incredibly done. It's just, and I wanted to run it on purpose because because of who Judge Dredd was, and I love the character and a lot of what it says. The only complaint I got was from James Bond, and the James Bond strips that I was printing at the time were from a period after the adaptation of the Ian Fleming novels, which were all brilliant and beautiful. They were patterned after the James Bond you see in the movies. So the ladies lost their tops at any possible moment, all the time, and ran around because the English nudity standards are different, way different from the Victorian American standards. So
I would call it more Puritan American standard.
okay, right, sure. All right, I stand corrected. But I had to go through and draw bikinis on all of the naked women, just so I didn't get any angry moms. Well, I let one picture pass that was smaller than a postage stamp of that one of the for whatever reason, because this is that James Bond, the story revolved around an erotic dancer. And they had a picture of her wearing pasties, little daisy pasties, and very little. And you can see the bottom part of the breast. And I ended up printing that, and it was literally, because I printed a number of strips on a page at once, it was literally smaller than the smallest 1 cent American postage stamp that you could imagine. It's just less than a 3/4 of an inch by 3/4 of an inch. And I had a mom just go ballistic over it. And I'm like, did you actually know Areola looks like that? He's actually wearing a pasty. No. Because it looked like a daisy. Oh, anyway. So from there on, I had to go through and overemphasize. Pardon?
I can speak from personal experience. They don't look like that.
Yeah. That was probably the last time I actually used a rapidograph that we were talking about earlier. It's going through those. I had to print them out because I'd get the files electronically, draw in little bikinis and overemphasize the G-strings just to make sure the moms knew that the girl was properly clothed in order to print the strip. Well, luckily the strip rolled around to the beginning, and I started printing the Ian Fleming adaptions, which were just amazing and didn't have to be edited at all. And we went from there. But a lot of those numbers, a lot of the strips that they sent me were incomplete. They were missing entire numbers. So I had to buy the collection, and there's some great James Bond strip collections available over on Amazon, which I should get a percentage for one of these days. But for promoting, but they're beautiful and they're very inexpensive, and there's like 6 or 7 stories per volume. And I was going through strip for strip. All the strips are numbered, and the strips that I was getting from the syndicate would miss a strip here and there or 2 strips here and there. And I just go through and I took the book and took a razor blade and spliced the page out and scanned it and printed it in the paper, because I had paid for the rights to print those strips. I was going to print them unhindered and in sequence. Yeah. But yeah, that's it. James Bond was the only strip that really got me into trouble.
Fair.
So when I was printing the paper,
question, that was Rocket. Hobbs is a tiger cat, so as appropriate.
Well, the James Bond thing I've got is this omnibus that came out about 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago.
Yeah, that's the one.
And I was just saying to Randy off air that look, this is.
Hang on, let me blow that up.
This is drawn by a guy called John McCluskey, and these were printed in 1954, which is 8 years before the first film came out with Sean Connery on. And look who he draws.
Yeah,
that's Sean Connery, isn't it?
That's basically Sean Connery,
which is quite remarkable, really. But this thing is really great. If you can get this, it's really good. It's a nice thick volume,
and it's really not. There's a number of volumes of them out, and they're really not expensive at all.
No, this was in fact this was free. They sent me this to review, so for crying.
Did they? There you go.
This is I don't know. Can I show that?
You can show that. She's covered, right?
Yeah. This is the Crikey edition I did back in 2010 that had all these strips in. I won't show them because there's nudity and stuff, and then people get upset. But there's a lot of this stuff in English, in the English newspapers. So this is Jane from the 1940s, and she never misses a trick, to get all the clothes off. I think this is Wicked Wanda, and this is AXA. This is by the great Romero, who does Modesty
God.
Blaze.
What
Yeah.
a strip that was.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm not just talking because she got her boobs out all the time.
Had a
It was
number of
just like,
times.
it was so well done.
Well,
The
Oh,
art
just
was
meticulously beautiful. Yeah.
I won't show it here, but there's one called Carrie, which Don Lawrence did. Don Lawrence of Trigon Empire
Mm-hmm.
paintings. He did this one. It's very explicit, but it's just a bit of fun, really. I mean, but AXA, I'll show a face. There's a face.
Hang on. You blow that
You
up.
see
There
it?
we are.
There's
Yes. Yep.
That's so 70s.
Yeah,
Yes,
and it's
it
drawn
is.
by, like I said, it's drawn by Romero, who drew Modesty Blaze. So
Yeah.
you can guarantee that the women are just absolutely gorgeous. Because I told you the story of when his editors told him to got another artist on his strip, didn't I? When he was doing Modesty Blaze,
Yeah.
and I interviewed him in Spain, and he can't draw ugly women. He can't draw what he might be perceived as ugly women. And when he sent the strips in, the editor was complaining that the villainess, that's a word, was too good looking, because you can't have a good looking villain, can you? I mean, and so he refused to change them. He said, I can't draw. I only see women as beautiful, and I draw them as beautiful women. So they had other artists putting wrinkles on these girls, and do you know what they look like? They look like beautiful women with just a few wrinkles on.
Yeah.
But he said he can't draw beautiful women,
C's in the house. Good morning.
Hey, C.
See
Okay.
if you're well enough, you're always welcome on the show. When you're up, you just jump in. You've got access, so feel free to join us at any time. I love that intro. Thank you so much, Frank. Good morning, mostly retro. Nice to see you here. Crimson Owl Comics, what's up, everyone?
Oh, Crimson Owl Comics. Hello.
Crimson Owl Comics, yes, sir. What time is it there? It's 9 a.m. here. About a quarter after 9 a.m. here, and probably where Allison is.
Quarter past 2 here.
It's 9:15 basically. So yeah, quarter after.
2:15.
2:15, where Russ and Glenn are.
Yeah.
In the wilds of Great Britain.
Good morning, guys. Skip Edwards in the house.
The wilds
Skip,
of England.
thanks for
not
joining
Great
us.
Britain. Great Britain.
sorry. My apologies. The
Great
wilds of
Britain
England.
is 3 countries. England is 1.
Ignore Glenn.
It's,
You can ignore me all you like. It doesn't mean I'm wrong.
It's okay, Allison. I get corrected on that all the
If you
time.
want to learn, listen to Glenn.
I see.
Frank says, yesterday I bought Iron Man 20 anniversary toy from Charles Bronson. Oh, with a Charles Bronson head. Yeah.
Yesterday, I bought several original Captain Britons, and today I bought bar 2 comics, which I've got, which I'm now in a bidding war for, the whole set of the original, right up to 39. So I went and got myself that. I also managed to pick. Remember, we were doing that the old comic with all the horror stuff in. I picked that up today as well, and the IDW Conan book as well.
Yeah,
I picked that up as well.
What the artisan book of Conan or what?
No, it's the volume. It's the collected trade paperback, but it was number 2 rather than 1 because it had a lot of Buscema in.
That IDW did, or that Black?
Yeah, I did. I'm pretty sure it's like, or was it Dark Horse? I don't know.
Could be Dark Horse did that.
Yeah,
Did I show you
I
that
don't think
one?
IDW ever had that Conan contract.
It must have been Dark Horse then. Yeah.
Did I show you that one? I got the Slain, Simon Bisley Slain.
Sweet.
I haven't read it yet, but look at this artwork, and it's just absolutely
Oh
fantastic.
yeah, just crazy. Good.
It's,
He does crazy artwork. That guy.
Yeah.
Look at that,
Yeah, beautiful.
and I got it for £1.
Fantastic.
There you go.
And also,
You two have your ollies over there, I hear. So
this IDW Star Trek I got for £1 as well.
oh,
Ooh.
sweet.
With
the
Captain
classic UK comics.
with Captain Kurt with a T.
Kurt.
Yeah. First 3 strips. It's absolutely wonderful. I can't wait to read that.
Was that printed in the center of a magazine or what?
Yeah, it was like the same kind of style as Bellamy's Thunderbirds right across the double spread.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Let's have a look.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
Excellent. Look at that.
It's not as good as Bellamy, but who is, you know? You can see what he's doing with it.
Who? That's what I was going to ask.
Oh yeah,
you.
very much so. Like Bellamy.
That's what I was going to ask you, Glenn, when we were talking about AXA. Who drew? It was that. It wasn't George and Mildred. It was another George.
I'll tell you.
It was
I've got it here. George and Lynn.
George and Lynn. That's it.
It's
LIND.
Yeah.
No, LYNN.
LYNNE.
LYNNE.
Yeah, George and Lynn.
Oh, George and Lynn. Okay.
Both of them they were always having their cacks off, weren't they?
Yeah. Well, I could show you, but I won't. But the script is by Conrad Frost. Frost.
Obviously a pen name.
And the art is Joseph Gual. Gual. Joseph.
Because that was similar, wasn't it? It had that flow to it. It was really well done.
Yeah,
it was totally even-handed because the guy was always naked as well.
That's
right. Yeah, and these are from the mid-70s, 76.
Yeah. I remember them from the Sun. I remember that. Were they in the Sun or were they in the Mirror?
They were in
the
Sun.
Yeah.
It's called
Axel was in the Sun as well.
Yeah, it's George and Lynn, the Diary of a brackets nearly perfect marriage.
And folks, I keep telling you at the end of every broadcast to go out and check out your local retailer and look through those magazine boxes, because Blackthorn Publishing, I believe it was, went through and did a number of AXA reprints. That's AXA. If you find them, a lot of times they'll be in your retailer magazine boxes, nice thick little trade paperback books. Yeah. They are horribly reproduced.
Yeah,
the reproduction on them is atrocious, but the stories are there. Most of the art is there, and they are worth your time getting and reading.
I think
especially if you love beautiful artwork.
Yeah, I think Russ, you need a copy of this Crikey 10 because it has.
Okay.
Captain Britain.
Captain Britain. Da, 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 da.
And Russ is sold forever.
Say again.
And Russ is sold forever.
Oh yeah. That's it. Yeah, I'm done. Anything with old Captain Britain, not that new stuff. The old stuff.
We all have our favorites.
Yeah.
You know, those characters that just stick with you.
Well, the reason I wanted to get the comics, because I've been fighting myself, because I'm not a collector. Okay, I'm not a collector. I just love comics. And the reason I've been kind of fighting myself, like, no, you shouldn't buy them. You've got the reprints. Like, I've got the trade paperbacks and all the rest of it. But there's something about those comics. There's something about the format of them and reading through them. And the nostalgia, it is nostalgia. I know that. I know some of it is nostalgia.
Yep.
Because there was three. They used to have 3, sometimes 4 strips, and they started off with Captain Britain, Fantastic Four, Buscema, Sinnott, and then Steranko on Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And it's like those 3 in a book when you're, 10 or whatever it is. It's like
it's that beautiful newsprint. Flimsiness about it that's just and flimsy doesn't describe it. The texture of it is amazing.
And the lines aren't all properly printed. So when you go and look at the trade paperback or you look at the essential version or something of it, you get the full line. And it's like, oh right, okay, this looks slightly different, but there's something about the crappy printing and everything. It's just wonderful, absolutely. Even down to the fact that some of the copies that I've got have got like where people have done the quiz. Or or they've got their name written on them from the newsagent. I love that. I absolutely love that.
Well, I told you my first exposure to actual black and white American comic artwork was reprints in the Terrific and Pow in the mid-60s, and they ran because it was great because I just started collecting when I was 10. And I was getting all the back issues before I got the real back issues.
Yeah,
of Nick Fury and not Nick Fury, not Nick Fury, Sergeant Fury,
right?
And Fantastic Four and things like that. But I think I told you if you look at these, if you get those old comics and you look at the strips, the size is different, so they don't fit. So what they did, they cut, whoever the editors were, they cut them up, and sometimes they put them in a different order, the panels in a different order. But also at the bottom of the panels, you can see where somebody's drawn cut off the bottom line of the panel and drawn another 1/4 inch to fit the page. And I found out later the person doing that was a 16-year-old Barry Smith. Down in the office, just drawing lines. Mr. Fantastic's leg would just go a bit further down.
You know that we had to put extra pages in when we did Only Death Can Save Us, and we were going to put it over 3 books.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was exactly what was going on, which I didn't realize. I've never really cottoned on it. It never occurred to me. But when I opened up the Captain Britain's, the strips inside were obviously not formatted story-wise to be broken up into 5 pages at a time or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. So they were putting in extra title pages. So they had somebody else drawing a title page, and then the Buscema work would carry on afterwards. And it's like, you know, with all due respect to whoever was doing the title page, it was never going to look as good as the rest of the artwork. And they did that for the Nick Fury stuff as well, so it didn't look as good as Durango either. So the original, the Captain Britain was done originally at that time and was done in proper sets, but everything else had these extra pages drawn for it. And really interesting, just like flicking through.
Well, I showed you a few weeks ago.
The reason there was a Captain Britain was because those Marvel reprints were selling so phenomenal over in Britain. Over in Britain.
Yeah, Britain. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
I'm not in Britain. I'm in England. Nobody's in Britain. Because it's 3
over
places.
In England, they were selling so well, they decided to do an original strip. So who are they going to do? Instead of Captain America, it was just an obvious choice to do Captain Britain. And they had Herb Trimpe, right?
Herb Trimpe
did
Herb Trimpe.
Did the first set along with Chris Claremont.
Yeah, fantastic stuff.
Wrote that stuff. Yeah,
there was some of it was a bit, I don't know, cartoonish in the way that it was written.
Sign of the times.
But I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
It reminds me of when I showed you that Trigon Empire, when there was blank panels, because there's panels because the pages. Why didn't they just print it the size that it was? Why did they have to use that format? Why couldn't they just print it the size it was? You know,
the pocket paperback format was really big when I was growing up, and they would reprint strips in there and do cut and paste all the time, and it was so much fun to pick up and to compare to the original. You'd have whole comic pages that were just cut and swiped, or I've had the Mad comic reprints, the paperback reprints here before, where they print a tear on a page, and you'd have to turn the book sideways in order to read it.
Right.
That there was all sorts of reprint books like that way back when, and they're so much fun to buy and read and just stumble across. Or here's a whole set of BC strips, or Peanuts, where it was like that a lot, where they'd take the panels and cut them so that you would read them vertically, where they were originally horizontal. So you didn't have to turn the book sideways. You can just 1, 2, 3, 4 on those reprint books. I should have nabbed a couple of them to show today. They're just a few steps away here. But just a blast to read. Old comic strips are always great. I ran 10 years with Flint Comics and Entertainment, and was so happy to be able to reprint a lot of that, a lot of the old King Features stuff, Prince Valiant and Flash Gordon from the 70s, and it was just great stuff, and to have people find it and read it, most of it for the first time, especially in this area. Nobody had ever printed Flash Gordon over here on a regular basis, and even though it was James O'Keefe, and you couldn't go back and you couldn't get like the original beautiful works by Alex Raymond. When I was a kid, I picked up a number of books by Nostalgia Press, nice hardback volumes that I still hold to this day, that I love, that have Flash Gordon reprints in them. Look at that.
Oh,
Wow.
You want to talk about beautiful brushwork
Look
and
at
line work.
that.
Yeah.
They reprinted it all in color, and even these are cut down and stripped out here. I can turn this page because the spine's already broken on it.
Yeah.
But it gets and you see the evolution of Alex Raymond. Even by the end of the first book, he's pulling out all of this beautiful brushwork, line work. Because back then the comic strips were full page. The newspapers were twice as big as what you see them now. And it was just beautiful artwork. Look at that brushwork, feathering work back there. Just phenomenal stuff. And when I was a kid, and when I mean kid in high school, I ran across these nostalgia press books that you just had to have. Big rocket ships and stuff. Just phenomenal work. That's early Alex Raymond comic strips. Used to I've seen a couple of those originals in exhibit museum settings. They're just beautiful. Same thing.
What size were they? Were they the really big size?
They were big. Yeah, they were about 24 wide by I'd say 48 tall.
Ooh.
So there's pictures. I have a picture of Hal Foster up against one of his originals. It'll take me a second.
Is that the one is it the drawing board?
Yeah, where it's on the drawing board.
A piece of artwork.
Just huge. Yeah. And I always tell folks, if you get a chance to see comic art in a museum setting, definitely go, because it's so fascinating to sit there and look at. Let me see here. Where is it? I have a file of
I told you a few years ago I saw that Frank Bellamy art, but it was framed and everything, from his Thunderbirds run. Yeah, and the Dr. Martin's dyes were still as clear as when he put them down in
just as vibrant. Yeah,
just beautiful work. And I said to you that he did Monday morning 9 o'clock. He'd start with a blank piece of board or paper, and on Wednesday afternoon he'd finish the whole thing. But from blank page to finish, 17 panels of Thunderbird script, and he lettered it too. And so it was just, wouldn't you just love to sit and watch him do that, like with Kirby and Buscema and all the Ditko? You just like to watch them drawing it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Sit there for days just watching him draw.
There's a great video of Buscema doing a Captain America online on YouTube. And,
I can't find that picture now, but anyway,
he's so bloody casual. It's so annoying.
Well, it was instinctual by that point. He was drawing it out of the back of his head.
Yeah,
I watched the thing,
slapping it down. It's just great.
I watched the thing last night about John Buscema being interviewed. I think it was in 2001. Did he die in 2004?
Something like that.
So it's only around there. A couple of years before he died.
Yeah. And he 80 something.
And he said he could never draw women. And now, as we all know, he draws the most beautiful of women. And do you know what he based the face on? A woman's face, a baby's face. He said he just used to draw a baby's face because it was young and beautiful and youthful, and then just age it a bit and change the lips and stuff like that. He said because these women, he said they always have high foreheads and small noses.
Yes,
like babies do. So, however you get there is okay.
Yeah, exactly.
True. Yeah.
Whatever works. Yeah.
Yep.
I think one of the best strip artists is Frank Bellamy on Garth. We've got some Garth there.
Careful.
There's nothing. It's a cowboy. This one. There's no naked ladies in this one.
Okay.
Anyway. But just this line work, just spotting blacks, and it's just wonderful.
Yeah, keep talking for a minute.
Yeah, it is. It's great stuff.
It's just such a totally different from his color work. I can imagine these in color, but they'd have to be colored by him because he obviously is a master. He knows what he's doing. But the way he does the black to white all the time for these things is great. And I used to collect them from the Daily Mirror, and I used to cut them out and color them himself, with my pens and stuff.
All right.
But that's one of the best. If you can get that, there's a few books of them.
Yeah.
Those Titan reprints.
Yeah. This is a great cover by Ian Gibson, painted cover. Halo Jones artist.
They were all out at the same time with those 2000 AD ones that I've got.
Yeah.
Well,
fabulous work.
I gotta say, Titan Publishing is amazing because anything that they do is worth buying. So there's always been a quality to their stuff. I can't think of any Titan book that I've seen that they've printed that has been substandard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
the Conan stuff is excellent. They've really found an artist who is in some way channeling Buscema.
Yeah,
it's excellent stuff.
I've got that Titans reprint, but I've also got this. I don't know where I ran across it at.
Sideways ones. Yeah,
that's fantastic, isn't it? See, they've used the brains there. They've done a size that fits the strip, haven't they?
Mm-hmm. Let me look before I show you. Here we go. Yeah, 2 strips on a page.
Yeah, fabulous.
And again, just amazing work. Yeah.
I need to get a physical copy of it, but Travis Chare's Space Girl, which is done like a newspaper strip kind of collection, is like 1-page comic strips on each page.
That's cool.
As you go through, and it's all his artwork.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
which is amazing.
He's special.
Yeah.
Lovely. Look at that. It's beautiful, isn't it?
That's gorgeous.
Yeah. Just the texture work there on the sea monster.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just amazing.
That looks great.
Great sense of depth because it's not done the solid blacks throughout.
Naked breast. Anyway. Only it's on it's beefcake on a meal. Anyway.
You might know, you've heard of Jim Holdaway, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jim Holdaway, he died. I think he died when he was about 40 or so. It's there you go. Modesty Blaze. Yeah, he's one of the unsung artists, I think, especially
also
for Modesty Blaze.
A horribly underappreciated strip, in my opinion. It's Modesty Blaze.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be if they did it right, which of course they wouldn't. It'd be a great film, wouldn't it? Because if you think about it, Modesty Blaze, if somebody had a brain over it in Hollywood, they would realize that they've already got James Bond as a female, haven't they? And she's called Modesty Blaze. So instead of ruining James Bond and making it Jane, because that's the next one that's coming, because they just killed him, haven't they?
Yeah.
Just do Modesty Blaze.
Yeah.
And then you could actually have them in the film together, couldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 different entities, Yep.
Not only that, the stories are amazing. The relationship between her and her number one, what's his name? Gareth, I can't remember his
name.
His name, Kevin? No?
Kevin.
We'll call him Kevin. Anyway.
Call me Kenneth.
Kenneth. And that relationship always fascinated me because she was always in total control. And he'd like turn to him and go, "We're gonna run such and such a play on this," and he'd go, "Right, got it," and they'd go off, and then it was like Mission Impossible, where they were in complete command of the entire situation. No matter where they went, they had the contingency to stop it. I can't say I've ever read a strip where the situation got out of her hands. That I love characters like that, like Sherlock Holmes, who might walk into a situation, but he figures it out right off the bat and knows,
Columbo.
Yeah, like Columbo. It's great stuff.
A great writing as well by Peter O'Donnell and Jim Edgar, for Modesty Blaze and
very much
the Garth strips. Really good writing.
There are numbers of sets of those reprints out and available too, if you look hard enough. Titan did a good, solid run of them that are just beautiful, just phenomenal stuff. It's so much great strip work. We've got Dick Tracy as well. IDW's done some amazing Dick Tracy reprints pretty much through the 50s, if I'm not mistaken.
Put that back up again. Look at that guy there at the top left, Brain. Looks like Jim Carrey, doesn't he?
Yeah.
They all look like Jim Carrey.
Prune
he
face.
could do all the faces.
Yeah, the pouch. Yeah.
Chester Gould.
Flat
Look
top.
at that. I love the way. I love the Dick Tracy by Chester Gould because he's so sharp, isn't he? You can tell he's a real dude. Look at that hat. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. And the palette at the time was so restricted that just that's part of the charm of the movie. You go back and
I'm
look
going to
at
say that's why they did it that way, wasn't it?
Warren Beatty movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Madonna in that as well as one of the It was
never mind.
The film wasn't clever, but the cinematography was good.
Amazing. Yeah. Otherworldly almost, just like the Burton's first Batman movie. Just takes you right out and puts you in a completely different world. And Popeye is the same way. The Robin Williams Popeye film.
Never seen that.
Oh,
the Popeye movie is really good.
Shelley Duvall.
Yeah.
Yep.
No,
Robin Williams.
A lot of those that was cast, I think, perfectly. Some of the script, I think, bogs down a little bit, gets a little slow in places, but it's a great film.
I have just officially had an epiphany and fallen in love with dip pens.
Good.
There we are.
Good God, these are fantastic.
He's got the
He's got the glow of a man in love.
It's so nice. Look at that. Oh.
Shall we blow it up? You're going to show it off?
You're going to have to show us what you're
no,
doing.
it's just a commission.
Right.
But those long lines, these long lines here, just oh.
So you're gonna at midnight, you're still gonna hear him moaning. Oh, it's a great line. Oh, it's a great
lines. They're just so
phenomenal. Yeah.
They're so, what's the word for it? Organic. Yes.
There's a lot of great strip reprint books out there, folks. You just have to look for them. Here's another favorite. I've only got a few books of this. That is Prince Valiant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we see you. I did
lovely.
I knew very little about Prince Valiant, and you guys were, got me onto that, and I went out and bought the compendium there.
See, good morning.
Morning.
See, how you doing?
I'm off.
We can hear you.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. See, somebody mentioned Warren Beatty and Dick Tracy, and I'm like, I got to come in there.
There you go.
Keep him on.
Get you in there now, huh?
Good to hear you, mate. Good to hear
I wanted to ambush Russ.
There's nothing like seeing a Prince Valiant page in person. Wow. A Foster Valiant page. Just amazing.
Good Lord.
Just absolutely, you can sit there and stare at it. And he literally would take a week on it. And you could tell from all of the detail and the beauty and the artwork. Just phenomenal. One of my favorites.
If you want to see any early Frank Bellamy stuff, get this really nice Swift stories. Swift was a comic from the early 50s. It was sort of a companion paper to Eagle. And he did a lot of sort of Robin Hood type of thing, King Arthur and his knights.
Oh, yeah.
This is really early Bellamy stuff. And you can see like the cross hatching and stuff coming through for his style later. And there's also, I want to show you this in this book, where you can see, how he does those really good rocks.
Yeah, there you are.
Oh, yeah.
It's really, it doesn't look too much like Bellamy, but it is fantastic work. So if you can get hold of that, I don't know whether
I've never seen it. I'm not aware of it. Or I would have it. I've got the High Command book that he did.
This one is 100
reprinted.
This one's 155 of 200, signed by Steve Holland, who edited it.
Okay.
So I don't know whether it's still available or not.
Oh, there you are.
So
probably on eBay, not cheap. Yeah.
I think I might sell this. Do you want to buy
it? That's what you brought it on. You should get this.
And start our own online auction here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, it's very nice and time to sell up and take a trip to the moon. You know.
Yeah. Skip.
So how are you doing, C? Are you okay?
Oh yeah, I'm fine.
Good morning, guys. Good morning, Skip. Friend says rocket or Hobbs. Okay.
Yeah,
I already
Mike
answered.
Hobbs.
Yep. Carlos Eros TV. Hi from Carlos or Calao,
I see
Peru.
Peru. That's you're from
Carlos?
Peru.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Genuine Comics in the house.
Hi.
Everyone says Whiskey O'Connell in the cheap seats today. How's it going, Lance? Going well, Whiskey. I'm sorry I forgot to send you a link. Do you want a link? Let me know. I think it was the first thing I ever learned to draw was women. Prune Face, classic. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Just great stuff. And IDW has done a number of really good reprints of the Dick Tracy material. If you're lucky, you're looking around a used bookstore, you might be able to find some. On eBay, they're going for pretty high prices.
What amazes me about the Dick Tracy stuff is just the shape forms to those characters. Every last one of them are iconic, and you can pretty much see in their silhouette who they are. And I think it's just phenomenal to me. And don't get me wrong, the classic Bill Bellamy and all that is great, but some of the cartoonish work in comics and the symbols that they use and the silhouettes that they use is just phenomenal to me, because that's a hard thing to come up with.
Well, Gould had his own individual style that he built up from the mid 30s when he started the strip. So you go back on those IDW strips, he starts out looking pretty ordinary, and then he gets very stylistic as he goes along and just evolves into his own work. Just great stuff. Just like the Flash Gordon stuff I showed you earlier. When back then you could spend, that Flash Gordon was a Sunday page. You can spend days on it if you wanted to, and that's what a lot of these guys did, and really did some eye-popping, beautiful artwork.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was looking through your Flint you sent me some Flint newspapers.
Yeah.
And I was looking through there. You got a whole bunch of stuff there.
That was the idea. We were Flint's favorite bathroom reader for years. Yeah. I have a picture from one of our best Italian restaurants here in town, where they would take one of the comic strip pages and peg it on a pegboard above the urinal. And that was so that when the guys are standing there peeing, they got something to read.
Hey, there you go.
Just great. That was it for me. Or you'd walk into one of the local bars and you'd see it straddled over a handicap railing. Somebody was sitting there reading it. Just that was it for me. So it took a little while for the paper to catch on, but once it did, we had a big loyal readership for a long time. So that started out. You go back on there's a Flint Comics Facebook page that's still up there. You go back on that, you'll see that there was a point where I was showing the cover as soon as I had it done and telling people it's gone to the press. So, you don't have to call me. It's at the printers. It's out distributed. Go find a copy, that kind of thing. Because I had a couple people call me just out of the blue, especially whenever I was late. Where's the paper? That was great. And we had our own set of red boxes, little newspaper boxes all over the county. You could just walk up once a month and get a comic paper. So that was it for me. I'd have kept going on that if I had the sustaining funds to keep it running.
Well, I mean, it's the best part of the newspaper, right? It's the comics, even for me, anyway.
Well, that's how comic books started. Was that the comic strips were the best part of the newspaper, and they needed to keep the presses wet, so they pasted a bunch of those strips together and put them out on the stand, see if they could sell them for a dime. So, great stuff.
Alison, as our resident manga expert, do they run manga and strips in Japan in the newspapers? As opposed to the books.
There are the large collection books, which are done as like a basically they're like a phone book size.
Yeah, but they're not in the papers.
They are, but they aren't. It's manga's everywhere. Oh, manga's everywhere. So it's like you buy instruction. You buy something, and the instructions that come will have manga in it to show you how to put it together. Things like that. So literally, it's everywhere. So yeah, it's in the papers, but it's not the extent of what manga is on the phone book magazines, basically.
Right.
Well, I mean, like compared to like how you have your comic book page in your regular newspaper, or here you have your comic section.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have that, or is it just mixed into everything else?
I believe it's just mixed into everything else. I would have to double check it, but I'm not familiar with any papers that really had that. I mean, I know political cartoons and stuff like that they had, but I can't really think of the traditional comic strip in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with one. I'd have to double check it, but I don't think so in that sense.
Anybody out there in the chat knows? Let us know.
I just wonder because with manga being such a big thing over there, and like you said, the telephone book size volumes that they put out, 5 million of it every day. I just wondered whether they bothered to run it in the newspaper because everybody was buying the other stuff anyway, aren't they? So.
Well, for the longest time, that's what was
the other stuff.
That was the big main attraction to the papers. I mean, Roosevelt used to read comics over the radio for the people that couldn't buy the papers, or that there was a paper shortage. They were trying to conserve or ration materials back then. So there was a time once a week that Roosevelt used to get up there and read the Sunday Funnies over the radio.
Right.
They were that popular. There was very little, that was long before television. So Whiskey, I just sent you the link email wise. So
I'm taking a look right now, and I see that there are some manga in newspapers, but they're not to the extent of the amount that the newspaper strip type thing.
Mm-hmm.
No wait, no. That's just reprinted actual manga pages. I don't know if I would count that.
Well,
I'm literally looking up newspapers in Japanese right now just to kind of see.
Here, the newspapers were in such competition with one another because this was before television, and the only way you could see anything on film was to go to a theater. Other than that, it was radio or your newspaper. That the creators became literal superstars over there and fought over strips, and creators were high value over there. Outcult, the guy who created Yellow Kid and Buster Brown, ended up being fought over quite a bit during the early Hearst newspaper empire days.
Yeah.
So the having a comic strip back then was the ultimate for a cartoonist job. Either that or being tied as an editorial cartoonist to a newspaper. You made really, really good livings off of that.
So,
and then the ladder slowly trickles down, way down to comic book artists. So
what was it? What's his name? Hitchcock literally put it into a movie that one of his protagonist characters was a comic strip artist, and he had like a butler. He had this great penthouse apartment type thing, and it wasn't like that far of a stretch for the time frame.
Yeah, high status. Yeah.
Well, Hitchcock himself was versed in sequential art, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a big fan.
Some of his stuff. Yeah,
he was.
Some of his stuff.
They said he storyboarded all of his movies into like graphic novels.
Probably
had
a butler.
Yep, he did.
He had a butler?
I've never had a butler.
I've never had a butler.
No, I've never been that successful in comic book art to have a butler.
No, the key is to be successul in something else and then do comic book art. That's
Is that what it is?
That seems to be the way of doing things.
You could say that King Charles's butler is a successful butler, so maybe you should take up drawing comic strips.
There you go.
Yeah.
If anyone asks me, should I draw comics for a living? It's like, no, go and be a policeman, get a really, really, really good
Pension.
Stop at 50, and then draw comics.
And then draw comics.
Yeah. Or you could just go and be really successful and stop at 50 anyway.
Yeah, well, I did neither of those things, so there you go.
Hey, 50. If you're drawing for a while, 50 is where you hit your stride anyway. I think.
Yeah, that's what I've been
I think
telling
you're right.
myself for years.
I got a few more years then.
Yeah.
Got a cavalcade of
I would
old time
say-
comic strips. Go ahead. What?
So I would say that, and I have mentioned this before, that but mid '90s was when I got when I was talking to Marvel, and I was accepted, but they had a new talent manager back then, a whole department, and the new talent manager accepted me after a few backwards and forwards for several months because of snail mail. And he said he'd pass my stuff around the editors and what have you. I got the same response from Image, but things just didn't happen for one reason or another. And I was actually glad of it, because when I did come back, I went off and I was a designer and art director and all other kinds of stuff, and paid the mortgage. And when I got back to wanting to do it, 2009, 2010, when I decided to give it a go again, I'd matured so much, and my appreciation of artwork had matured so much that I felt I became a much better comic book artist because of it.
And the good thing about it is you skipped all the bullshit that happened at that time.
Yeah. While everyone else was like, "Oh my god, the comics industry is falling apart," I was doing point of sale and brochures for electronics and what have you, and getting paid a good salary. So yeah, I don't think I missed out on too much.
Yeah. I don't know. I've always wanted to tell my own stuff, so it's been a big drive for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I was very much a nuts and bolts kind of person. I just wanted to draw comics. I just wanted to do the pages. That was all I was about. And like I say, maybe that maturity helped as well, because eventually I got to the point where, with the industry being the way it is, it's not quite the same anymore. Of realizing that a page rate was not going to cut it. You're always at the behest of the publisher. It's like, it doesn't matter how good your last job was, if the editor leaves, you're out on your ear. Do you know what I mean? It's really that weird and that cutthroat. So it's like, it's at that point you think, well, best thing I can do is make my own stories, make my own IPs, and start getting them out there.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And if you get those other jobs here and there, that's fine, but you still have that your own thing to lean back on.
Yeah. Well, for a while there, till I hit a certain age, I had no choice. I was out there doing all kinds of different work. I was doing storyboarding, I was doing design work, any comic book work I could get hold of. I was fortunate in the last couple of years after the big sneeze, as it were, that I got a couple of really solid gigs. Although I'd already been on Doctor Who a few times and stuff, but I got some really good solid gigs, and now I'm in sort of taking a slightly different route, looking at a long-term investing in myself and seeing it from a perspective of how, now that I've got a publisher, which makes all the difference. If you've got a mainstream publisher, and so you've got like two outlets to go through, you can go the crowdfunding route, and you can go with a publisher to the to Amazon and that kind of stuff, Barnes and Noble. And it means you can then say, right, okay, I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to make some stuff. I'm going to make some content and get it out there and see what it does, rather than having to battle through, I must have a page a day in order to eat.
Right.
That's a really tough environment to do that.
Oh, sorry, John. It was Mayor LaGuardia of New York City who read the comics over the radio, particularly Dick Tracy and Little Orphan Annie, Sunday pages. John, if you're awake enough, you can join us. You're always welcome on the show. In fact, we could talk Crazy Cat for a while.
Crazy Cat.
There you are.
Great logo, that, isn't it?
Even better, it's the story of a mouse in love with a cat enough to throw bricks at her. There we are.
Oh, Crazy Cat.
What a great strip. Just crazy good. And John, if you want to come in here, you can. I'm sure you know a lot more about this than I do. So I've just got a couple of book collections, but John Celestri. He loves Harriman and his work. Very esoteric material, very strange backgrounds. Great strips. Officer Pup always chasing after Ignatz, and Crazy Cat being madly in love. So.
Oh, neat. I like that texture, those strips, and the background.
Just some incredible backgrounds. Let me find a Sunday strip here for you.
And they're so simple, but yet they're so like effective, and it helps those characters stand out, and with such a simple design. So
let me check this other one here. This has got more of these Sunday strips to it. Not incredibly well reproduced, but very interesting stuff. Such unusual work. There's a old Crazy Cat strip. Need to get back into settings and blow the frame out. Got to figure out how to do that again.
hey, good luck, because I have no idea. It seems like they change everything on StreamYard every time you turn around. So
all the time, yeah, it's enough to drive you crazy. Automatic.
Like we've updated it. No, not again.
Videos.
Yeah, they used to do that with Illustrator when I used to use that a lot. I used to get all my key commands down, and then when the next version came out, they changed them all.
Yeah.
So you had to go back to menus while you learnt your key commands again.
Yeah.
And I just don't see the point.
I've the great thing about Clip Studio is you can save your environment.
Right.
So it's easier for me personally. I mean, I'm just an old guy who's using some technology, but it's easier for me to do that. I'm only using it for my pencils, so I'm not using any great variation of the tool set. Do you know what I mean? I'm using the standard, and it means that I can just, if it's really easy on the Cintiq when you're backwards and forwards with the pen, that it kind of swaps tools and does stupid stuff on it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and eventually after a month or so, it's like, oh, just reset it, and you reset it, and it's back to the way it was, and that's a really handy thing to have.
Oh yeah,
very clever.
Russ, have you used a Mac in the past? Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Have you noticed that when you've got your own machine, like you've got your own screen, you've got your own your work area.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that other artists who work with you, when they come when you're going over something with them and they're explaining, they always sit down on your chair and start moving your desktop around.
Yeah, they can't.
They can't leave that file there, can they? Just leave it there.
Just don't sit at my desk and do that.
No, coming into your house and moving your furniture around.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Fortunately, the last time I was doing that kind of thing, I was the art director. So when someone sat down at my desk and started doing that, I say, "Don't do that."
Yeah,
and they put it back. Don't do that.
I can't find it now. It was here somewhere. That's not it.
It's probably like a force of habit. Like say, like with your shortcuts and everything, with your keyboard and everything, you get.
I think it is
where everything is.
Yeah,
and it's just.
Yeah. But don't do that.
The worst one is when they go into your color palette and you've got a nice red and you've got like a 14% black in there, and they go in and they put it to 15%. What are you doing? You know what I mean, don't you, Ross?
Oh, no,
it's not easy enough to just put it back the way it was.
No.
Just don't touch it. Just leave it alone.
That's my computer. Pack it in.
John says, I'm out for my walk. Check Amazon for an ongoing collection by Fantagraphics, by the complete run of Crazy Cat. Yep. There's also a nice list. Fantagraphics also does Thimble Theater, which is amazing. Those collections are phenomenal. Thimble Theater is the start of Popeye.
Yep.
And those they were hardback. I'm not sure how many volumes Fantagraphics ended up doing, but they were amazing. I've got the first one.
I have the first 2 or 3 of those.
Hiding all your pens. Yeah. So if there's anybody out there that wants to join in, feel free to contact me on Facebook. Here we go. I'd love to be included on your show if that's cool. Jeremy Frazier. I'll send you a link, I think. There you go. And that reminds me, I never did change my Facebook around again.
Get somebody else to do it.
So irritating. I know.
Call Monica and just said, just move these things around so I can't find them.
Yeah. Indie Comics Network. Hey, Whiskey. Randy said he sent the link to your email. I did.
Yeah, I don't know if he heard you. That's why I was kind of just putting it in there. So
it's a reply for the email you just sent me, your last email. So you're welcome in anytime.
He said he wanted to come. Yeah.
You know how to do email, don't you? Whiskey, come on.
Put your lips together and blow.
You can do 3D models.
Old bogey reference. Sorry, kids. Go look it up.
Oh dear.
I should clip that too. I've got this. I've got the going away. I've got the going away clip. Shocked. But I don't have. I'll have to. That's one of my most favorite quotes from Bacall.
I saw that they had talked about at one time, of course, years ago, making a sequel to that. I'm like, no. Thank God they didn't.
A lot of those movies you should never do a sequel to.
They're not sequels anyway. They're fan fiction.
Right.
I would love to see them do a faithful adaptation of Wizard of Oz one of these days when they're not dancing down the yellow brick road. That would be kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It'd never sell, but it'd be nice to see.
It really wouldn't.
Something new.
Everybody'd sit there and go, "Where's Judy Garland? How come you're not singing Over the Rainbow?"
Yeah, the Green Witch. You had to have the Green Witch. It said the eye patch and the raincoat. Like, what is this witch? The right one? That's what it is.
Which witch is this?
So visually iconic, though, the Margaret Hamilton witch anymore. Yeah. They literally made that, that was the look.
Yeah, the stereotypical look of the witch was from that.
And the thing about it is I think, in all honesty, I do think Baum would actually have liked the movie because he always switched things around anyway.
Yeah,
but I'm a purist. I like the original.
Well, and he was always playing around with the story in theater and silent films. Yeah.
What was it? The Patchwork Girl of Oz? I think he did kind of a silent film.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I've only ever seen it once, like Lord of the Rings, so I put it into the same box.
It's best enjoyed while you're listening to Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah,
all right. I'll just
agree.
I'll just listen to the music.
You're an entertainment fascist.
Oh my God!
Put Dark Side on with headphones. Start the movie at the right point, and it's just
the third roar. I think it is right.
Yeah,
what?
The third roar of the lion.
Yeah, and then just go.
Who knew? Anyway,
What's on that Wizard of Oz thing? What's that ghoul hanging in the background? What's all that about?
That's a bad urban legend.
Is it?
It's
okay.
Somebody committed suicide on the set. They thought.
Oh my God!
It's just a bad shadow in the back.
So it's not. It's not true then.
No, it's
no.
Right.
It's like the 3 men and a little baby. Thing.
Yeah.
The ghost.
There's a ghost kid. Now it's a standee of like Ted Danson.
It's a ghost house
in the window.
Yeah.
That's a new comic. Ghost Kid.
Yeah. Ghost Kid. Yeah. Just like Zombie Boy. Anyway. The one of the fun things about Wizard of Oz is watching them dance and walk away from the camera right up to the wall of the set. It's just, one more step and they're going to get,
As I remember, because I've only seen it once about 40 years ago, Wizard of Oz. As I remember, the best part was when when it went off.
Funny.
The news came on or something.
The special
that was better than the film.
In a lot of ways.
The what?
Like, the special effects in it still hold up in a lot of ways.
Amazingly,
I mean, the
yes.
tornado is
Yep.
amazing.
Yep.
I was
lot of
watching
that-
the whole thing of like, how did they do that? And they had like all these people trying to guess how they did it, and I was like,
How
okay.
did they do it?
It was literally like a model that they spun. It was like paper.
Right.
It's
Okay.
that straightforward.
Why was
The
it
way
black
they
and
did
what,
it just looked so good.
Why was it in
Bring
black
it
and
back-
white to start with? Was it because they didn't have enough money for color film?
No, see, Technicolor was just coming into vogue at that
Okay.
point, and they
Right.
wanted to show Kansas as being dull and drab and everyday. So the Kansas
can't-
scenes are all in black and white.
That is
But
Well,
when Dorothy
that is
opens
true.
that door into Oz, they just kick the color out.
I've been to Kansas. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
because
Well,
that's
the-
the urban. Isn't that
beginning-
the urban legend that they didn't have enough money for the whole film in Technicolor? But
Nobody had enough money back in those days.
that's
No.
rubbish.
So-
Well, it was the Depression age, and if you read the beginning of in the beginning of Wizard of Oz, he talks about how great Kansas is. So
Oh,
that's kind of what it lends to.
So it was an
to the
artistic
aesthetic.
decision. Yeah.
Sure, why not? It's like having a green witch. That's all.
Jeremy asked to be on the program this morning, so we're bringing him in. Jeremy, how you doing?
Jeremy,
Oh yeah, cheers up.
Wonderful.
at least you're
Creamy
in,
Rat
at least-
Studios. There
at least
we
you're
are.
in color, Jeremy. You're not in black and white.
There you are. Yep. But that's why everything is so crazy colorful. Once the color
Right.
starts, it's because they could. So everything's super loud, and just like the first run of Star Trek, so everything's in loud colors.
Yeah,
Just basic
yeah.
primary tones. Yeah.
Right.
Batman, same way.
Yeah.
They used to advertise in the opening, Batman in color,
Yeah.
So everybody was garishly dressed and just super loud and hey kids, that kind of thing.
But I tell you what, when Marvel, but to kind of bring it back to comic strips and Wizard of Oz,
Please
but
do. Yeah.
When Marvel went ahead and commissioned Scotty Young to do Wizard of Oz, he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it at all. But he took the books, and if you look, and he took those books and he made those designs, which made those. I think they did the first 5 books. I think all the way up to Dorothy and Oz, maybe.
Yeah. 5 or 6. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just the way he envisioned it was just perfect as far as I was concerned. Like,
Oh, I love his art style in those.
Very
Yeah.
much
Well,
Scotty Young. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it was very Scotty Young, but he kept it to the books, like the descriptions in the book. So we didn't get a green witch.
Yeah.
We got a accurate witch,
A real witch.
accurate Linda. And I mean, they're probably not perfect, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
as opposed to what we got.
The John Arneal illustrations, though, for me, that's Oz. That's all. Those are the ones that were in the books after Winslow's, after the first one. So, yeah, he knew it. That he's amazing to me. I just love his work.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like the Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
Illustrations.
Yep. Very iconic. Set the pace for everything. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I was at a book. A children's book exhibit in Memphis one time, and they had a very huge illustration that John Arneal, I think it was done. Very huge, of Treasure Island. That was just phenomenal. I wish I could find a copy of it because the art piece is great. Little boy sitting there dreaming about big pirate ships, and they had a big Spanish galleon. Look, your typical pirate ship in the background, just beautifully done. Anyway, it's off topic. So, Neil, yeah, to me is one of my favorites. We should probably look at some of his stuff sometime soon. Jeremy, how you doing?
Oh, I am wonderful. How about you?
Good. Welcome aboard. We're trying to talk comic strips, but we're letting the conversation wander.
Well, that's the best kind of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of comic
John,
strips you read, Jeremy?
I read a little bit of everything, like standard Marvel, some DC.
No. I'm talking like newspaper comic strips. We're talking like
comic
4-panel. Yeah.
Whatever's in the newspaper.
You look like a Calvin and Hobbes fan, maybe, huh?
My favorite was Zits.
Oh, okay.
I hate the title.
Right. Yeah.
I hate the title, but I love the comic. Sherman's Lagoon is good.
Oh yeah.
Anything older, just whatever reprints were available in the weekly paper.
Well, sure. Was it? Well, no, it was. Yeah. I was thinking it was Sherman's Lagoon, but no, it was. Was it Pearls Before Swine that Watterson kind of came out of retirement and did for like a week, wasn't it?
Yep.
Did he?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well,
I said you have to be pretty special for Watterson to come out of retirement to want to do your strip. That's like wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Larson came out of retirement too.
Yeah, he's been doing illustration work here and there. Yeah.
I don't know why he quit. You know he enjoys it. You can tell he enjoys it.
Well, there's a number of reasons why these guys stop. Most of it is editorial.
Yeah, true.
Especially anymore. They get so much hassle. There's Nancy.
You know, they had there's a documentary about trying to find Bill Watterson and his elusiveness or whatever. But what's really funny is Documentary Now did a spoof of that, trying to find Gary Larson.
Okay.
And the guy goes through all of this to find Gary Larson, and he pulls up to Gary Larson's house, and there's already an interview crew there because Gary Larson has never gone into hiding, has never stopped giving interviews. So this entire time he's looking for Gary Larson, and he's just right there giving interviews.
Well, the thing I've said this before with Waterston, he on the back of one of the Calvin and Hobbes collection, he's got Calvin ravaging like Godzilla his hometown.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just and it's a phenomenal piece. I used to date a girl from there, and I turned it over. And I went, "Oh, that's Chagrin Falls right there. That's amazing. It's crazy."
That had to be some work to put that in. I mean, really.
Love.
I'm sure he used it as
is.
reference several times. So
yeah.
Well, yeah, you look at those, and he has to be somebody who is, in love with childhood or is really fond of childhood. Maybe not his own, but the idea thereof and the imaginary friend and everything.
You have to understand that spark of innocence in youth. Yeah, just like Charles Schultz did with Peanuts on a lot of it. But yet at the same time, the Calvin and Peanuts both are so evergreen because there's an intellectual side to them of some pretty deep philosophy here and there.
Oh, yeah.
In there. And those strips will always be evergreen. Yeah.
Yeah, it was never written down. It's not like Family Circus or something like that. It was still, highbrow, intelligent writing, but with an innocent,
Well, Family Circus has got a bum rap too, because Bill Keene's been around forever, and there's a certain level of innocence added to that strip that people take as, being written down, but really it's not as bad as folks think.
Yeah, I guess I could see that.
Well, it's worth looking at.
Does Bill Keane even
I think it's just
do
one of those
Family
things that's been
Circus
around
anymore?
for a while.
Say what?
Does Bill Keane even do Family Circus anymore?
I honestly don't know.
I thought that went zombie strip.
Sure.
So
What?
Could be.
I thought it went zombie strip.
Maybe.
I have.
Reprinting, you mean, or what?
No, other artists drawing it.
Oh,
like Garfield.
it's very likely, yeah. I know he used to do illustration once a year for the Postal Service can drive. That was Family Circus. Because I used to have to separate and print that shirt for the local post office. But I don't know if he's still around anymore or doing the strip. More than likely, he's handed it over to assistants. It's like Dick Tracy, though. It'll always be around. It's just, Prince Valiant's the same way. It's been grandfathered down to a number of different creators. Tom Yates and Mark Schultz is currently working on it. Last time I knew.
The Phantom's another one.
Phantom's been handed over to a number of people over the years. Yeah, and I think they were assistants working on that back when Lee Falk was signing the.
Yeah,
I always thought John
Bill Keane's been
Buscema
gone for a while, so he's definitely not doing it anymore.
Yeah,
but his son took it up in 1960.
Falk did.
No, yeah, Bill
The
King's
Phantom?
son. No, the talking about Family Circus.
Oh, okay. All right.
Took it up. Yeah. So I don't know if he's still Jeff Keane is doing it or not.
Well, if they can, they'll hand it down to their assistants or to their family if they, they can do it. I know Dave Graw was VT Hamlin's assistant on Alley Oop, just right there. And he started. Him and his wife took that strip over when VT was done. So, Alley Oop, great cartoon, great comic. Another great strip. Kitchen Sink has done a few reprint collections of that strip. If you can catch the VT Hamlin material, it's amazing. Not just caveman dinosaur humor, but once he starts traveling through time, it gets really, really good. So it's like Garth, only he's a caveman. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gets zapped up and then sent through time in a time machine. Lots of fun.
Kind of have that modern sense, like the BCs, but the BC strip.
Oh, the BC strip's always been caveman oriented.
Caveman, but it always has the modern slant to it. Almost kind of Flintstones, but not.
Yeah,
with social commentary.
Social commentary, modern philosophy, a lot of any more Hart got really religious. I'm not sure if that strip's still coming out anymore either. I think it is.
Oh.
But
I was gonna say he got pretty religious at one point with it, so
I'm not sure how that strip's running. I do know that it's really difficult to keep a regular strip running because they don't pay as much as they used to.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But right, but yeah, because now even I know down here, Louisiana, the comic or Baton Rouge anyway, the comic book page might have one page, and you might have some scattered between articles. It's not like it used to be, so it's not
Well, they moved the more controversial or editorial strips like Shoe and Doonesbury over to the editorial page.
Right. Yeah.
If they carry them at all, Burke Breathitt had that big problem when he was doing political commentary. That some strips, some papers would carry some strips and wouldn't others, depending upon the content. So, like I said, editorial gets pretty crazy. So I know, who is it? The Lee Enterprise paper just a few months back went through and cut their, they had 77, I think, papers it was. They went from 2 pages of comics down to a half a page of comics. And all of those are the really classic strips, Peanuts, Garfield, that kind of thing, because they were just tired of all of the hassles and all the controversy. So they dropped a ton of stuff just to, and they used to pay somebody at each paper to put the comic strip pages together, and now they just paginate half a page with a half a page of puzzles and send it out to all of their papers at once. So
yeah, talk about breaking into the comic book industry. The comic strip industry has to be almost near impossible. I mean, you can still do digital comics, but the amount of time it takes you to do that and make a collection, is still, geez.
Definitely becoming a lost art form.
Yeah.
And the adventure strip is already pretty well gone. Phantom's still coming out. Dick Tracy is still coming out, but not a whole lot of other ones.
The Phantom, what was it in India? Phantom was very big.
Australia too. Yeah.
Australia.
Yeah. Real big property. Yeah.
In fact, I saw somebody saying something about a couple months ago about how they were still big fans of the Phantom. It's like, whoa, the Phantom.
Oh, Judge Parker, I know, is still coming out. I've got Terry Beatty on my Facebook page.
Yeah,
he worked on the Phantom strip for quite a while. Now he's doing Judge Parker.
I've got the guy that does the Phantom strip on mine as well.
Okay.
So I see quite a bit of that come up. And Judge, what is it, Judge?
Judge Parker.
Judge Parker, that comes up on my strip on my feed quite a lot as well. His pencils and then his inks and stuff.
Yeah, there used to be a whole set of soap opera strips that come out off of Mary Worth, like Apartment 3G and Judge Parker, and there were 2 or 3 other ones. Brenda Starr was also a big one for a long time. And Ramona Fradon took over that for, I think, a couple decades. She did for quite a while. I don't remember who started that. I can't recall her name right now, but also a real interesting strip. It's been around since 30s. Brenda Starr, reporter. Brooke Shields did a movie on that. That's really in obscurity. Probably pops up on Pluto and Tubi every once in a while.
That good.
Yeah.
Worth watching.
I ran across the Diabolique movie on Pluto not too long ago. Sat and watched that. That was very 60s. Very late 60s, early 70s. Very mod. Kind of fun.
I saw they just came out, and like very recently, an Asterix and Obelisk.
Yes.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's on
Live
Netflix,
action
but
movie.
It was
Never saw it, but I saw the trailer for it. Thought it was amazing. Just great.
Is it done? Who does it? Is it a foreign? Like as a? I can't imagine
it'd have to be, yeah.
Like
It's French, isn't it?
Because I don't know of any American
Belgium?
studio that would invest that kind of money.
Studio. Yeah.
Especially after the way the Tintin movie went. I can't see them investing in foreign comic strips anytime in the near future.
Having seen the Tintin movie, I can see why it didn't do very well, though.
I haven't been able to sit through it. And I love the property. I've got it. I love the work, and especially all of the different formats that it's come in. I could do almost an entire episode of Sunday Funnies on the different types of Tintin books that have been reprinted. Just crazy. Everything from incredibly small to beyond treasury size. Just
what do you think?
Great stuff.
Spielberg would have been a good, point man for that, but I guess.
Well, you think Frank Miller would have been a good one for The Spirit too. That didn't happen either.
Somebody said that was the best comic book adaptation. I'm like, did you read The Spirit? Did you know?
No, they didn't.
No,
I can tell you that right now. Yeah,
it was visually a stunning piece. It kept me watching because visually it was bonkers. I loved it. But
if you had never read The Spirit or weren't familiar with the property, it was probably a real good movie. Yeah.
On its own,
but it was visually stunning.
They did the same
about that. It was
it the Rocketeer?
Yeah,
They did the same with that. That wasn't very good either, was it? Was that Jude Law in that?
Yeah, that wasn't as good
no,
looking.
That was Campbell, Billy Campbell. I think
the Jude Law one was the Rocket. What was it? Masters of the Sky or something?
Sky Captain and the Masters
of
the World.
Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow.
That was great visually. That was
visually amazing.
I did like Sky Captain. It knew what it was. It wasn't trying to be anything else. It knew what it was, and
it was a cheesy popcorn movie.
That's exactly what it was. It was a take on the old, adventure,
the old movie serials. Yeah,
it was just.
No, I liked it.
Yeah.
I think it's in my DVD collection.
I can understand somebody not liking it, but I did like it. So.
Pretty sure it's in mine too. Yeah, in there. It's great stuff.
It's in my collection with my Lord of the Rings and Wizard of Oz.
There you go. One of those you watched once and don't have to bother watching it again.
Shut up, you old curmudgeon.
Shut up. The toilet, you got a spare toilet. They're all in there.
No, because that came out around the same time that they did the 300 and they had Sin City and they were using all the digital effects. And I never got into Sin City, but
all working out of Rodriguez's garage. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't that into Sin City, but I did enjoy the 300. I'd say.
Just have some boxes, put some green screen on them. Just you're good to go.
Yeah.
So I think Sin City's got a lot of charm to it. I thought that they caught the comic pretty well with it.
Yeah,
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
Well, Sin City is a really great adaptation of the comics if you want to see them in a visual medium. I mean, I love the first Sin City movie. Second one, not so much. But
it's been a while. I'd have to go back and watch it. I don't know if it was just jarring or whatever the case is. And there might have been somebody in it I didn't like at the time.
I fell asleep during the second one in the movie theater.
Yeah.
There was a whole lot of time between those, though, wasn't there? Like there was a few years between the first one and the second.
Oh yeah,
there was.
Yep.
I thought the second part of Wizard of Oz was good.
A Return to Oz?
No, I've been sarcastic. The one they haven't made.
The sequel to the MGM musical, yeah.
Will you just mute him, will you?
That had Michael Jackson in it. Pretty sure. Yeah.
The Wiz.
Oh, the Wiz.
The Wiz. Oh my god.
Oh, don't. I'll need to go to the loo.
Well, I'm not going to apologize just because I like good things.
Return to Oz is a good movie. I think that's available over on Disney Plus. That's a brain check film. Yeah.
That's
about as close to Baum's Oz as you're going to get.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting movie. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. That's about the best way to describe it. Is an interesting.
Well, it's a mixture of two books, and they didn't want to try to do. They didn't want to try to do Marvelous Land of Oz.
I don't know if merger is quite the word, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, they didn't want to do Marvelous Land of Oz because it didn't have Dorothy. And so if they were going to do an Oz, they were going to have Dorothy, right? So
who wants a story of a young kid?
It's like
a young boy.
It'd be like making 2001 without Hal, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
If they did Marvelous Land of Oz right now, I think it would be people would there are certain people who would riot about it because of how it turns out at the end.
Oh, the ending of it with Oswald? Yeah.
I
can see people freaking out and be like,
they would, but it's like
20s.
That was such a great twist.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
The whole thing, and it was such a feminist book.
But it was written intentionally that way. It was very much a feminist piece because Baum's wife, I think, was really close to Susan B. Anthony.
Yeah.
During that whole movement, and it was very much meant to be a feminist piece.
Oh, absolutely. Even Dorothy is
Ginger and her all-girl army with their knitting needles, threatening to poke all the guys' eyes out if they don't do the housework. Yeah.
The guys all freaking out because they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I support this.
We can't do anything. Yeah.
I have reasons for this.
I love just that, but Marvelous Land of Oz was it for me.
Land of Oz is one of my favorite Oz books because it's so different, and that Baum is going through and definitely making points here on a lot of things. He was showing the wizard to be a real ass. I mean, he was a villain.
In that
book. I mean, he was. You'd have to. I could probably spoil it because it's so old, but it's just such it's such a poignant, evil thing to do for the wizard who wanted to take control of Oz.
What does he do?
He takes. Should we spoil it? We should probably.
Who cares?
He takes the queen. He takes the Queen of Oz and takes her as a little baby over to evil witch Mombi, who's an old crony witch who disguises her and hides her from everybody by turning her into a boy.
Yep.
And then uses him as a slave, pretty much, for the rest for his youth.
She turns it into a boy.
It is
a boy. Sorry,
turns him into Tip. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who's the lead character in Land of Oz? The story starts with Tip being just terrorized by this overbearing witch, Mombi, and she ends up picking up a salt shaker or a powder shaker that can animate objects.
Yes.
So
I've got 3 of those.
While she's off on her trip, on her journey, Tip decides to scare her by making a giant pumpkin head creature and stuck him in the middle of the road just to freak her out.
Yeah, and you wonder why I don't watch this.
And so she takes that shaker and animates the pumpkin head, the Jack Pumpkinhead. Yeah,
the sawhorse. God, poor Saw.
Here's John Celestri. John, how are you?
John Sabers.
Great characters, but they're so dismal. They're so dismal.
Glenn thinks he needs to be saved. There we are. Look at that.
Crazy Cat.
Crazy.
You were talking about the Crazy Cat collections and
such. Yeah, we were. Amazing.
These are full sized. These are full size as to how they were in the Sunday pages.
Yeah, and beautifully reproduced too. Look at that.
Yes. Oh, it's great. It starts in 1919 with the Sunday pages, and that's the whole idea. We'll go from this one here, and you got this one.
Oh, look at that!
Oh, look at that! Yeah.
It's great. I mean, each book is coming at, one, just once a year or so.
Mhm.
And it covers, about 2 to 3 years stretch.
Yeah.
So, and there's some information in the back,
Mhm.
and also setups in the front.
Fantagraphics are doing those?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantagraphics are doing these, and let's see. There's another one here.
They're like Titan and
there.
IDW. Just about everything like that they reproduce are just top notch.
Yeah,
as best as they can get.
This material is just great. This is the latest one that came out in March, and this is for 1925 to 1927. But you could see how he went. Harriman went from very small, multiple panels in. Let's see. And starting with this, I'll go to show how elaborate it was. Okay, you can see how many pages. Then in the span of from 1919 to, let's say, 1927 or so, the Sunday pages start to
stretch out. Yeah.
Well, that was just one. I mean, this is one page. Okay, this is the Sunday page, and he would just start in I think a matter of he just started to simplify.
Yeah.
He didn't do as much. It was he was sick for so much of his life.
And it's hard for folks today to understand how big that stuff was reprinted. But if you take your average newspaper now, open it up and turn it sideways, that's pretty much how big the papers used to be.
Yeah.
So these were tremendously huge art showcases.
This is the Sunday strips of the weeklies that he did.
Yeah.
His dailies.
The daily strips. Yeah.
Wow, that's the size. It would stretch across a section of the paper.
That's lovely.
That's neat.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And this one last one here.
I've got a book from back in the 20s that's set up like that. That collects a bunch of old.
look
at that. Collects a bunch of old mutton jests. That is huge. Is that the entire run?
No, this is the run from. Let's see. This
that's gorgeous. Look at
35 to 44.
Yeah, 1935 to 1944, and it's the colored Sunday pages. I'll show you.
Okay. Man,
I've got a bad left arm, but let's try.
Yeah, be careful.
Hoist this up.
These books will kill you anymore. These omnibuses and collections.
What was that thing you said?
Comics
will kill you.
Comics will kill you. Yeah.
Those first books, I thought they were like the tablets of the Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
That must be the missing third one.
Yeah.
This is an incredible book.
That's the third tablet. That's the one that tells people to stay off TikTok.
This is one of the tomes.
Look at that.
Look at that. Oh, that's beautiful, man. Couldn't read that on the toilet, could you?
Okay. I'm going to have to do this backwards, but this is the size that you would see on the Sunday paper.
Yeah, don't pull anything.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, don't pull anything.
No.
In the words of the great Jack Kirby, comics will kill your hernia.
The Sunday papers were. I've got some old what is it? Stars and Stripes Sundays from 1944, 1945 and
people say they're envious of my life.
The Sunday
Holy
papers
crap.
there, what they would do for the armed forces is you'd have like an 8-page full-size tabloid Sunday, black and white, but you'd get Dick Tracy, you'd get them all.
Yeah.
So and they would play that would be what was it? I think it was your basic Dick Tracy. It was Blondie, they didn't go just for like either King Features or Tribune Syndicate, because it was for the armed forces, for wartime.
Everything.
Everybody, got their prime guy in there.
All the big strips were there.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's a reprint book of that out.
Of what? Of
the Stars and Stripes collection.
No. I actually, I came across like a run of just the actual newspaper.
Oh, yeah.
That there's nothing like opening up
fun.
a newsprint that has been preserved.
Mm-hmm.
And opening. that, Randy. So it's fun.
All I know is that musty attic smell.
Yeah.
Just
my closet has got
Nothing
a whole
like
bunch of. One of these days, I'm going to have to pull out the. I've got a run of actual bound office copies of The Shadow from 1935, 36, 37. Until they were like volumes, and they would do them in, they would trim them, so it's you don't have the unvarnished look, but they were trimmed and they were bound, and it was one of the office copies, from wherever. It was
Street and Smith.
Street and Smith. Street and Smith. And so there's about 18 shadows in there.
That would be phenomenal.
So I gotta take those out.
That's a week or two's worth of reading. Just sit there and just go through all that stuff. It's phenomenal.
And reading those shadows and the original Doc Savages. I mean, back there in what I've got here is the
hang on. Loan you up.
Of all of the Doc Savage books that were reprints that were from the 1960s.
They ran omnibuses where they had multiple stories.
They did. I've got some of them too, so I've got duplicates of everything. But I've got every run, of every one of those there, because reading that is like reading source material for everything else that's being done ever since.
Yeah, all that heroic fiction like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, that Dick Tracy is taking from the Shadow stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all of the various villains that you come out was all pulpy.
Batman's almost directly taken from Shadow,
as well as
the
Dick
Joker.
Tracy.
Yeah.
I mean, Dick Tracy with Prune Face and all of that, and all of those various bizarre characters are lifted from Batman. I mean, look at all that stuff, and
it's almost like Batman himself is the Shadow, but all the villains are Dick Tracy.
It's a combination of two.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I mean, because they were all running at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
very much so.
It's that's fun stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you don't realize how much of that, because growing up, pulp's always had almost like the same reputation as comics, as being sub-literature, substandard. And you go back, and I've done a lot of reading lately of Robert E. Howard's work, and you sit there and you go, wow, this stuff is amazing. This is incredibly well-structured, well-written literature.
Yeah.
It's some of the best. And if someone were to actually do it properly and give it the respect it's due, I'm sure it would be an absolutely fantastic production.
Right. Well, a lot of this was at the pace that a newspaper writer would have to do, because you'd have to be clear, and also you'd be focused on a certain reading level. But then again, what people don't remember is that what was considered an 8th grade reading back in the 20s and 30s, which was a higher caliber than what you get today in an 8th grader.
Yeah.
So there's you go back to the again, as I say, source material, and yes, some of it is cumbersome and what have you, but you can start seeing how storylines are interwoven. and come to a resolution. But there is a rich tapestry because you wanted to because there were no pictures in these books and you didn't have photography that you had. It had to be your mind, and so therefore you had to, really elaborate in the description.
Well, and what's interesting, when you look at these strips, they have to be able to tell something in that 4-panel or 3 panels or whatever the case is that's going to carry you on to the next one.
Well, it used to be, and you look at from there was a formula to writing the newspaper, the dailies. The first panel had to sort of encapsulate or pick up where the last day was. So you had to sort of bring the reader in. So you had to set them up again and bring back a little bit of the back story. Then you used to have 4 panels to work. So the second and third panel, really developed the plot, and then you had the cliffhanger, the 4th panel, to get you to come back. And that was the formula. And so if you read the Dick Tracy stuff, for example, or any of those
great adventure strips,
you could go see how that worked, so that the reader wouldn't be left out.
Right.
And there was a time, if you look at also, they worked in 13-week to 15-week segments. That was the story arc, and then it would start bringing in. It would overlap the next arc, and that hooked that in. Especially Dick Tracy, because he was always, bringing the criminal back, but then something else had been happening, and so they lead on to the next one.
Yeah,
I mean, and you think trying to stretch an arc out into 6 issues of a comic book is hard, or even for that matter, the comic page ending in a cliffhanger to pull you over to the next page is hard. Just doing it in those 4 panels, it's got to be, it's extremely difficult. Yeah,
it is an art in itself. Yeah, you had to get into the formula really quick.
You have to do so much, but it still boils down to understanding how to write.
That's
true.
Right.
I mean, that's basically what it is. You're writing beats, and then you're interweaving your character, plot, and personality, and it's all woven up, and you do it. But the Dick Tracy stuff, Chester Gould would write his strips in he had a very specific thing. A Monday to each day was a certain way. He would write it up. He'd write the script on a Friday to set up and work and know that he would have to work on it on the drawing that Monday. So the following Monday. So Monday and Tuesday he'd do the strips there. The Wednesdays was the Sunday panel, was the Sunday page, which sometimes was a development or even a secondary strip. Sometimes they would work 2 stories. They would work. The Sunday would be one story, and the dailies would be another story.
Because you would always have to assume that there were papers out there that just carried the Sunday page.
Right.
And didn't carry the daily strip. So you had to make up for that as you went along. Yeah.
And sometimes it was, because it would be really boring. And sometimes what they would be doing, and I've seen this with Dick Tracy, is that the Sunday page would really be a character and a plot development of what had happened in the previous week. So that way, the Sunday page, he wouldn't have to do 2 stories.
Yeah,
which is really hard to keep going and juggling. So I'd have to you read up any of the let's say go for the 1940s, because he'd had 10 years of really working and crafting his stuff.
Right.
The 40s to me are the great stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Then he gets really stylized and crazy in the 50s.
Doing his stuff, because it was really gritty, and it was noir before there was noir. I mean, Dick Tracy is noir.
Noir. Yep.
Yeah.
Very much so.
It's like a niche noir, though, right? It's kind of like a I hate to say fantasy norm in a way, but when
Tracy?
you get into later, Dick Tracy's.
Oh, well, it depends
Sci-fi
on
norm.
when you're talking about getting into the 1960s with the Moon Maid. That's a whole different story.
That's a whole nother thing.
That's a different story. No, we're talking about Dick Tracy of the Crime Stoppers textbook. He was very specific. He was NCIS, or or was it not NCIS? He was doing police procedurals.
Yeah.
And very much of what was the chemistry? How did fingerprints work? I mean, all of that stuff.
Yep.
He was right there with being very specific.
And then in the later years, he just took it up to the next level with the flying platforms and the video wristwatch and
once again, it was the wrist radio that he was doing, and then there was the wrist television, and now it's kind of like Apple just took what he was doing, and the same way that what was it? The flip phone was taken off of Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
well, these guys grow up looking at this stuff, loving this material.
Mm-hmm.
So that when they get older, it's like, I want a phone just like what Captain Kirk had, when you had to open it up in order to talk to people.
The iPad's right from Star Trek as well.
Yeah. It's all sort. There's a whole documentary out there about the influence that Star Trek had on science.
Oh god, yeah.
It's just insane. Yeah, just great stuff.
But
that's the same way with the early science fiction, though. You go back and you look at H.G. Wells's material and chemical warfare, laser technology, eugenics, the manipulation for food. That kind of work is all in his early stuff. All in his science fiction stories.
The War of the Worlds, I mean, says it all.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of what we are facing today in some way, shape, or form. With war and what have you, and just anyway, but with Edgar Rice Burroughs, with the Princess of Mars. I mean, that starts everything else.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yep.
Whole set of adventure fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And again, a lot better than a lot of people give it credit for.
I love Princess of Mars. Yeah. Most of Burroughs' John Carter stuff I absolutely love.
Yeah. There's no reason, and the John Carter of Mars, the movie, I thought was great.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Horribly marketed is what it was.
Yeah. I have that on DVD as well.
Yeah, there you go.
As do I.
I mean,
I have that on Blu-ray.
Another one for your bin, Glenn. Probably.
I haven't seen it. That's not fair. I haven't seen it. So
I'm sorry. I apologize. Yeah,
that's all right.
You need to watch it. It's really good.
I need something for some comparison. What do you like? What movie stands out to you? Because I want something in comparison. 2001.
It depends what kind of I hate the word genre you're talking about, doesn't it? I think possibly the greatest film ever made possibly was Shawshank Redemption, but I would say my favorite film of all time is 2001. I like Solaris I like both editions of Solaris, the Tarkovsky one and the Clooney one. I think they're both great. I like the original War of the Worlds. I like, The Day the Earth Stood Still.
The 50s, George Pell, War of the Worlds.
Yeah. The Michael Rene, The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Oh, yeah.
The original version.
Yeah.
Not the Keanu Reeves.
No.
The original version.
There's a Keanu Reeves version? No, we don't talk about that.
The only version.
The only version.
And I also like things like Them.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I don't know the actors in that
Big
film.
Ants.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. But I think that stuff like was it Steve McQueen in The Blob? I thought that was appalling. I laughed all the way through it. But anyway,
I don't think you were meant. You were supposed to
laugh all the way through.
There you go. That's exactly what I was going to say. I don't think you were supposed to take that seriously.
Well, I was only about 15, so.
When I was a kid, I'm like, look, they're pushing they're pushing a bunch of pudding in a furnace vent.
The
first remake of it is really good.
Yeah. Yep.
But the original
Matt
is
Dillon
comedy.
The Matt Dillon one? Yeah.
Yeah.
I like.
I remember the Matt Dillon one. I can't say it.
I don't think it was meant to be. It was this drive-in movie quality.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
We don't have drive-in movies, so I don't know.
Well,
we don't have them here anymore that much anyway.
Apparently they're coming back.
Well, in the same vein, it is too.
We have lots of drive-ins here.
Don't know. The first film I ever saw without my parents, I was 8 and it was 9, and it was Jason and the Argonauts, which is a superb film.
You can't match that.
I just hope they don't wreck it and film it again, and they're all lesbians and whatever.
Captain the World Tomorrow can't hold up to that one.
It doesn't matter if they do, because the Harryhausen film will stand on its own always.
Oh yeah,
and that you catch that anytime on like Saturday afternoon, or if it comes up, if you're lucky enough to find it streaming, like on the Turner Classic Movies section in HBO Max. You sit there and you watch it anyway. You go, that's an awesome movie. You got to watch that again. Yeah.
And from my point of view, when that came out, it had Patrick Troughton in it, who was currently the Doctor Who, or they had almost playing Doctor Who. So it was great seeing him in it as well.
There you go.
He played the blind guy in the but they won't let him eat.
Now I'll have to go back and rewatch it again. Yeah, I got that on DVD too.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, I like watching lots of different things, except Lord of the Rings, which I think is just, I tried it, I watched it, I just didn't enjoy it. But I wouldn't stop anybody else watching it.
That's fine. You're allowed to be wrong occasionally, Glenn.
Well, I've not encountered that yet, but I understand what you're saying.
Hey, I'm sure. Look, I promise you, Tolkien would have hated it too. So you're probably in good company as far as.
I didn't say I hated it. I said I didn't rate it. I don't hate anything. I just don't think it's very good. And
there you go.
I watched it. You know the story. I sat down for 9 hours, wasted 9 hours of my precious life, but I did it, and I didn't enjoy it. I thought it was rubbish. So that's just my opinion. But I wouldn't stop anybody thinking it was their favorite film, because I know people who say it is.
That's how I felt about Rogue One after I got done watching it at the movie theater. There's 2 hours I'm never going to get back. So yeah.
I couldn't cope with that Star Wars thing. I can't believe why they made those prequels. I watched them. I went to see them. But what's the point? Because we know what's going to happen.
Right. Well, Rogue One was the adaptation of the title card Star Wars. Really?
Well, I haven't seen that, so I don't know.
Kind of not. Yeah.
Yeah, it was what happened immediately before Star Wars.
The end scenes I didn't have a problem with, because, like you said, it was the lead into
many Bovan spies died making that film. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, the issue what that movie really was to try to connect, because if you look at when they're looking at the information for the Death Star and everything, and they're going through the Empire stuff, they're also talking about tracking through hyperspace and everything else like that. So they're trying to actually link it to the later sequels. That was what that whole purpose of that movie was, to try to pull everything together. It's just that they did it so fast, I don't think anybody caught on right away.
I think one of the best films, in my opinion, it's so underrated, and that's Silent Running with Bruce Dern in it.
That's a good film.
Amazing.
1971.
How to feel compassion for a robot. What's that film?
Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Oh, bless him.
Fantastic. When they're cheating, when they're playing cards and they're cheating on him, aren't they? They're telling each other what he's got. It's great. Great film, man.
I just sat through Maltese Falcon again. That was great.
That's another great movie.
Never seen it, Glenn?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's a great stage play. Set to film, pretty much. Yeah.
Sort of that. I like movies, but I'd much rather read this.
There we go.
Oh, yeah.
We all have our favorites. And I think that's it. Holy crap. We're just about at the 2-hour mark. So
holy crap, Batman.
Holy crap, Batman. Trying not to swear too much. So Jeremy.
Yes.
Tell folks how they can find you and what you do.
Well, mostly on Facebook. Look up Creamy Ranch Studios. Right now I'm about to release a charity comic, which is kind of a strip. It is science fiction, post-apocalyptic music with 40 bands and suicide prevention charity.
Wow.
Yeah,
that sounds like a cauldron of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is huge and a lot of different things to pull together, but finally doing it for the third issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I do movie comics. I did the sequel to The Sword and the Sorcerer. The old.
Oh, there you are.
Oh,
yeah.
With Ozzy. With Ozzy.
Yeah.
With Gory. Yeah. All right.
Yep.
Cool.
Sweet. Cool stuff.
And
Creamy Rat Studios.
yeah, exactly.
Does Creamy Rat Studios have a website, or they can just find you on Facebook?
Just Facebook. I did have a website, but I was there was a lull, so I kind of killed it.
Okay.
COVID lull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all know how that goes. Anyway, yeah. John, tell folks how they can find you.
You could find me on Linktree, John Celestri Comics, Linktree. I've also got, I'm on pre-launch stage for Bloodwing Angel, Fire Fist Angel. It's going to be a digest version, black and white, trade paperback, 60 pages. It was originally how I did Bloodwing Angel as a web comic, just going back to it as a black and white, and digest form.
Where is that at?
That's on Kickstarter.
Is it coming or is it active?
No, it's coming. It's on pre-launch, so you can come and sign up. I need one more to get to 10. Come on and just to get to be the first ones to know when I'm launching.
They can find that under Bloodwing Angel.
You just do it as either it's Fire Fist Angel.
Fire Fist Angel. Okay.
Fire Fist Angel.
All right.
There you go.
Russ, tell folks how they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me shouting at parked cars most of the time. You can find
as
me
well they deserve. Yes.
You can find me in the pages of Batman
I should have
magazine.
blown you up to start with. Go ahead. Boom.
You can find me in the pages of Hero Time Presents Batman in the UK and Europe currently. Soon to be back in Doctor Who magazine for a special. You can also find me in the pages of Only Death Can Save Us. You can pick that up, Barnes & Nobles, Amazon, that kind of thing. You can also pick up the original versions at my website along with merch, like mugs and T-shirts, that kind of thing. You can sign up to my email list while you're there. And please go and check me out on Instagram because I'm popping up artwork every day, either stuff that's in the archive or brand new stuff. And you can find all of that at russleach.com. There you go. That's what I've been doing today.
Mm-hmm. Hang on just a second.
Fantastic.
Boom. There we are.
Is that with the new nibs?
Nice.
There's a load of new nib stuff in there.
You did all that while we were talking.
Yeah.
Now I feel unproductive.
That's a commission. That's like it's not my normal style. It's just like something simple for the.
That's just a little something you whipped up.
A little something I knocked up.
Yeah. Over here, knocked up means something entirely different.
Totally different. You mean the similar here too, yeah.
It has creation involved.
Well, the term I think is knocked off.
It's not. What's wrong with you lot? Eh? What's wrong with you lot?
Well, it's the same thing as between doing this and doing the other one. I mean, we just do something different. That's all. You go.
Different process, but it's always about. No, never mind. I can't.
Allison, tell folks how they can find you.
Well, I am right here on the Indie Comics Network on Fridays at 3. You can usually catch me here on Sunday Funnies, also on Sketchy Saturdays. I also have my Linktree and my Patreon comic that is linked in the description notes. And I work on fun things like this.
There we are.
Wow. Look at that.
Nice.
Lovely. That's great.
Oh, wow.
Great.
I like that.
Is that
That's
your
what I've been
background
doing this
frame
morning.
too?
I'm sorry, what?
Is that your background frame too? The guy with the
The
big
background
eye?
screen is a Joe Madureira Battle Chasers scene.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Got it. Sweet. It's fantastic.
But yeah, so that's what I typically do.
Great stuff. Don't mean to ignore the chat, though. Sometimes we get carried away with our conversation. So
yeah.
Let's see here. Whiskey is hiding all your pens. Yep. There we go.
That was back to our mad conversation earlier.
I'm just waiting for the Canadian version of the CIA to approve the email and actually load, I guess. No,
Where
it was
are you
there.
hiding all your pens? That's what
sure
I want to know. You know that you can fit 63 Earths in Uranus. And 64 if you relax.
I heard that joke. Yeah. Windsor McKay, absolutely. I did have a copy of Dreams of a Rare Bit Fiend that I was going to show off, but maybe some other time.
I like Welsh Rare Bit.
We'll be stripping again soon. Yeah. Regarding Waterston, I remember him saying that I stopped drawing Kelvin because the space allotted in newspapers became too small for him to have fun. Yep.
Oh,
that makes sense. Whiskey says in Soviet Canada only approved emails, allegedly. Oh, sorry if that didn't get through. I know I sent it.
Canada.
In Soviet Canada, we love potatoes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. We love to see potatoes. Brad Bird was one time trying to do Spirit. He would have captured Eisner's essence. Yeah.
I would have been animating on that one.
Would you have? That would have been awesome.
Oh yeah, no, I was supposed to be. I was supposed to be animating it because it was right after doing Rock and Roll.
So, Brad Bird was actually going to do the Spirit?
Yeah, I was there. I was there. I showed my reel, and because I knew friends of somebody else, or that was the friends of Brad Bird and Jerry Reese, and so I went there. I went to. I was out there in California visiting and showing my reel, and I would have been, I would have been on the Spirit.
Yeah, crazy, amazing.
Considering what he did with the Incredibles, I could totally see him doing the Spirit.
We were talking about the John Carter movie earlier, and there was a whole slew of films that Disney did during that period that were so terribly marketed that were really good to watch. And one of those was Tomorrowland. I really liked that film.
Oh, I like that.
I thought that Brad Bird directed that film. I thought he did an excellent job of it. Really liked it.
It was pretty zany. I will say that. I remember that.
HR says also Bashki would have been a good fit for it back in the days. We will never. Whiskey says yes, spoiler. Anyway,
talking about Wizard of Oz.
1920s. Damn, yeah. I read that. The other point about Land of Oz I was going to mention is I've got an early copy of Land of Oz, and in there's a foreword by Baum, and he basically tells everybody this is a book I never wanted to write.
Yeah,
this is a book I always tried to avoid, but when the postman kept bringing me bags of mail from fans, I was like, I guess I'm going to have to write something because he couldn't get anything else to sell. So
right.
He wrote Land of Oz.
Yeah, he does. Wizard of Oz was going to be a one and done, and then
one and done. He had already gone on to do like American Mother Goose, I think it was called, and there was another fantasy book with mermaids that he did that I've got around here somewhere that was really interesting.
Find that.
What's a hell of a book, Crazy Cat? Don't need the gym reading that thing. Yeah. It's true. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Blue Teddy. Sorry to have been ignoring the chat for so long. The Shank? Not
Shawshank.
sure. Shawshank, yeah.
Shawshank, yeah.
I've always enjoyed the black and white Flash Gordon episodes. Yeah, I thought about showing those here on Sunday Funnies, just for a lark. Because I don't think I'd get into copyright problems showing those off. I'm not sure. Thanks, Logan. Run.
Old Republic serials? I don't know.
Yeah. Some of that stuff is just amazing to watch. More. Yeah. Indie Comics. There's links.
Links and links, yes.
Ryan, thanks for listening. Good morning, everyone. Thanks. Glad you're here. Glenn, he says, hey.
Ryan.
Whiskey says, LMAO just got the email. Oh, great.
I had to check it at customs.
Yeah, right.
Some crazy Canadians. Yeah, it must have been held up at customs for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Looked at the guards the wrong way.
So you got to get that email 2 or 3 hours later, early.
Just crazy.
Yeah.
See, tell folks how they can find you.
As always, you can check out my link tree /C Michael Lanning. Of course, Calico of Shard over on aerocomics.store. And then the new one that just came out from Hazard Productions that did Doghouse. You can check that out. I think you'll be able to get some copies over there at Haslam.
Doghouse.
Anyway, other stuff coming up. I got something with JD Calderon. We'll be launching this year. So I think this year. So look for that. And a whole bunch of other stuff. Also, right here on the Indie Comics Network, eventually we will be launching Build a Comic once everything finally freaking works out. On my end, it's on me. Yep. There it is.
Yep.
So look for that. It will be on Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. Hopefully starting next month at least.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. As long as you can watch me and Chad Perkins argue as we try to put a comic book together and really fall over ourselves.
Hooray.
That'll make for interesting discussions.
Yeah.
Hey, out there, hit that like, hit that love button. We know you like us. And if you really like us, let other people know that we're here every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Glenn, tell folks how they can find you.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, things like that. You can find me on New Haven Publishing, which they've just published my book about my visit to see Jack Kirby. Lots of pictures of a younger me with the genius of Jack Kirby there. And then later in the summer, we've got the second edition of Hatch coming from New Haven as well, which is my creation. This little guy on his asteroid all on his own. You can follow that. And you can also find me in the pages of Comics Unlimited, which is my magazine about comics, 100 pages every few months or so with interviews, lots of artwork, articles, all about comics. And you can find me on these podcasts. Just Google me and I'll be there.
Or do an Amazon search. Glenn with 2 N's. Glenn B. Fleming with 1 N.
Yep. Yeah, and also my work is on Amazon, like Randy says. Got lots of books on there, different subjects, science fiction, children's books, also all kinds of stuff.
I was reading there. Kirby had a great quote in there. I was reading yesterday about what comics are American. What did he say, Glenn?
American art form.
Yeah, he had it was something very uniquely that he was very precise. I can't remember the exact quote, but it was just fantastic. That was in your book. So.
Yeah. I don't remember offhand, but yeah, he said he thought comics were American, but
I think comics are an American art form. It's just the Brits doing better.
Yeah. Well, I think what I got from that was almost like not necessarily that comics themselves were American, but comics American is
comic
comics,
books. Comic books.
Did you just kick me out?
No, I kicked you to the bottom of the page. Thank you very much.
Like, get down, get out.
Folks, I've been your host, Randy Zimmerman. We're here every Sunday morning for the Sunday Funnies, where we talk about what we love and what we're inspired by. This was mostly about comic strips, what we've covered up mostly. But we've covered a lot of other different topics over the week. So go back, and we're archived over at the Indie Comics Network. You can find my work at aerocomics.store, where you can find works like Calico Shard that C. Michael Lanning did the artwork on. You can find the superhero title Paragon that H.R. Harris did the artwork on, or you can find a book I did mostly on my own called HeroBot Zero, which is the story of a 3-foot-tall giant robot as he defends the city from large monsters and other menaces, as long as he can do it on the clock and get time and a half for overtime. So, folks,
fair.
Right? Pardon?
Seems fair.
Seems fair. You can also find me right now over at fundmycomic.com, as I've got a campaign running over there to help cover some of the costs for The Fool, #1. Go over there and look for The Fool over at Fund My Comic. He's a rodeo clown of justice. So he goes around and fights crime in a crazy looking outfit with a tie for a mask, and uses practical jokes as weapons and does all sorts of craziness. And the police just want to get him off of the streets before he hurts himself or somebody else. We'll have a little bump for that as we leave. Folks, I really want to thank you. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank everybody that's here. Jeremy, take care. We'll talk again real soon.
Thank you.
And we'll see everybody soon. Make sure you go out there and visit that retailer. Your local comic shop can use your visits. Take a couple hours and go through those boxes that are closest to the floor and look for some great stuff. There's a lot of fun materials just sitting there waiting to be discovered. So, and if you love comics, tell people what you love about comics and that you love comics, because the best way we're going to get around is by word of mouth. Whiskey is here. Hello, we must be going. Sorry, bud. Well, we're just walking out the door now. So say hello, goodbye.
Hello, goodbye, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
I think whiskey's actually Scott Roseman.
In disguise. No. Buy independent and alternative comics, folks, especially ours.
That's Vidalia.
We'll see you soon.
Ciao.
See ya.
The views and opinions expressed within the video content found on the Indie Comics Network are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Indie Comics Network or its sponsors.
And I believe we're on our last week there on that campaign for the Fools. So get over there now and get in on it. It's a great book. I can't recommend it enough.
Thank you.
Oh, so great. Well, see, I keep hitting these buttons and it never goes through. Let's try it again.
Have a question or comment for us to address on the show? Have a topic you want us to talk about? Email us at indiecomicsnetwork@gmail.com. Want your comics to arrive in pristine condition? Head over to GeminiComicSupply.com and save 10% on your next Gemini mailer order or anything in the Gemini Comics Supply store. Use coupon code RAGIN10. That's RAGIN 10.
Yep. Sooner or later, it'll kick over, right? Anyway. In the middle of the night or early Friday morning, depending upon where you are in the world, a group of experienced comics professionals get together to examine and instruct about the art form that they love. That's great comic artwork on Comics by Night, Fridays at 5 a.m. Eastern, here on the Indie Comics Network, indiecomicsnetwork.com.
What was that? This is not a charade.
Now we'll say, take care, everybody. We'll see you.
Bye.
How can you close me up? On what ground?
I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here.
You're winning, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. Everybody out at once.